you on a dark or empty path seeking answers. Watch this video exposing the dark lies, deceiving many to the truth.
Samekh. And we're going to jump right into this here. Samekh is the 15th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it's called Samekh. The ancient way this letter was drawn agrees with the meaning of the name of the letter. Samekh in the ancient Hebrew means a prop. The picture of the prop can be seen in the ancient symbols used for these characters, which you see there underneath. Samekh. The stanza that goes along with this letter is Psalms 119, verses 113 through 120.
I hate vain thoughts, but thy law do I love. Thou art my hiding place and my shield. I hope in thy word. Depart from me, ye evildoers, for I will keep the commandments of my Elohim. Uphold me according unto thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope. Hold thou me up, and I shall be safe, and I will have respect unto all thy statutes continually. Thou hast trodden down all them that err from thy statutes, for their deceit is falsehood. Thou puttest away all the wicked of the earth like dross. Therefore I love thy testimonies. My flesh trembleth for fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgments.
So we see here each verse in this stanza begins with the letter Samekh. Samekh. Okay, here's the Hebrew alphabet we keep looking at every week. Just to get you familiar with the Hebrew alphabet, this is the ancient Hebrew. This is the pictograph Hebrew. And this was how they looked at it in the very beginning. And it was just pictures. This is the middle script, and this is what Messiah would have looked at. He would have used if he was reading or writing something. Okay? And you can see the difference in them. Actually, the Aleph there looks like an upside down A. Okay? This is the modern Hebrew, or what's called the block Hebrew, or it's also called the post-Babylonian script, because it was written after, they were using this after the Babylonian captivity. And we can see this right here is what we call this the modern script, because this is the letters, this is what we use today if we're writing in the Hebrew alphabet. This is what people read and write today. This is what Samekh looks like. This is the pictograph on the right and the modern Hebrew on the left there. And you can see the right looks like a prop, just like the meaning of this word, a prop. The gematria for the Samekh is the number 60, which has to do with pride, conceit, and earthly. That's what the gematria is for pride. For Samekh. 60. The ordinal value, or the value that is placed with this letter, the ordinal value is 15, which means divine grace, marriage, and it represents the number of elevation from the physical to the spiritual. There was 15 judges in Israel, 15 judges of Israel. 15 items for the Mishkanah, or what's called the tabernacle. There are 60 letters in the priestly benediction that makes up the 15 words. What is that priestly benediction? Here it is right here.
Numbers chapter 6, verses 23 through 26. Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace.
Okay, so this is the priestly benediction And there is 15 words, and in the Hebrew, not necessarily in the English, 'cause I didn't sit here and count them all, but in the Hebrew there is 60 letters in the priestly blessing. The root word for Samekh, it means to lean upon, or to uphold, or to support. This evening I brought my walking stick in, and I'm going to walk a little bit over here with it. This is my walking stick. In the Old Testament, Moses had a stick like this. I'm not saying exactly like this. It was a different piece of wood, but this is one I had made up. And when I'm out walking with this stick, a lot of the times I'm leaning upon it. If I'm going up a little bit of a hill, I'm leaning upon it, and it's using to support me. And that's what this Samekh, the root word for Samekh, is. It's to support or to lean upon. And we're going to get into that a little bit later on in more depth. But that's what the Samekh in the root means, to lean upon. If you're going up a mountain or a large hill, usually if you're out walking, you're taking a mountain stroll or something, you use a walking stick, which is all this really is. There's nothing special about this stick. It's just a piece of wood I've shaved down and everything. And I use it as a walking stick. Well, in the mountains, you would use the stick to walk along, and as you're going up hills and stuff, it helps you to get up the hill, to help support your weight. Hopefully it would be a strong enough stick to hold your weight, that it wouldn't snap on you. I've never had that happen to me, but okay, so that's what the Samekh means, to lean upon or to uphold or to support. Leviticus 16 verse 21.
And Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquities of the children of Israel.
Okay, the importance of the scripture is where it says, Aaron shall lay both his hands upon the head of the live goat. You see, he had to lean upon that live goat, to put both his hands on that live goat. And that's what we're getting at here, to lean upon, to put our support in. And again, I'm going to get into that a little bit later on towards the end of the message. Psalms 119 verse 116, which we've just read, but please read it again.
Uphold me according unto thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope.
Okay, it says, look at this, it says to uphold me, which is Samekh, because it's in the scriptures we read in the very beginning. So it's uphold me, which is the meaning of Samekh, to uphold me. 2 Kings 18 verse 21.
Now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt unto all that trust on him. Okay, I'm going to point two things out in this scripture, and we're going to come back to the second one a little bit later on to see another deeper meaning of it. It says to trust upon the staff of this bruised reed. What do we do when we trust upon the staff? We lean upon it. We put our weight into it. We put our weight. We have it support us. And that's what this is talking about here. To trust it upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, which is what it's talking about there when it talks about the bruised reed. It's talking about Egypt, when they were in captivity in Egypt. Okay, which if a man leans against Samekh, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh and the king of Egypt, and all that trust on him. What it's doing here is it's saying that the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, is that bruised reed, where people were leaning upon him.
And that's what it's talking about there. 2 Chronicles 32 verse 8.
With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is Yahweh our Elohim to help us and to fight our battles. And the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah.
Okay, so we see here the arm of flesh. With him is the arm of flesh, but with us is Yahweh our Elohim to help us, to support us in our battles. The people rested, Samekh, upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. They leaned upon, let the words of Hezekiah support them, which is what Samekh is all about. Judges chapter 16, verse 29.
And Samson took hold upon the two middle pillars which were upon which the house stood, and on which it was borne up, of the one with his right hand and the other with his left.
Okay, now this right here is right before Samson died. He was blinded, and they brought him out to the temple they brought him out there to make sport of him. But what he did was he took hold of the two middle pillars. Okay, and what did he do? He put his support in the two middle pillars. And of course we know what happened. He collapsed the pillars and the whole place came down. And it says that he killed more in his death than he did in his life. Let's continue. Deuteronomy chapter 34 verse 9.
And Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as Yahweh commanded Moses.
So we see here again, Moses laid his hands upon him. He leaned on Joshua. He had to anoint Joshua, and the only way they anointed people was to lay their hands upon them. And he would have to support or to lean on Joshua to anoint him. The Jewish rabbinical ordination is called Samekh or Samekh. Okay? Now, this is what the pictograph looks like. And like I said, it's a hand on a staff or to lean upon. And you saw earlier with my walking stick where I had my hand on the stick. And that's exactly what the pictograph in the Hebrew for Samekh looks like. See, Yahweh is all-knowing and all-knowledgeable, more than we understand. And he did this pictograph, he made this pictograph to be exactly what it needed to be. The only thing it will not break is the word of Yahweh. The only thing that's not going to break is the word of Yahweh. Okay, the percentage here is probably not correct, but let me say this. 99.9% of the time we have trials and tribulations. It goes back to us not leaning upon the word of Yahweh. When we have trials and tribulations, it goes back to us not leaning on the word of Yahweh. Now, is that always true? No, I'm not going to say that's always true. It's probably not even 99.9% of the time. But I'm saying a lot of the time, that is where our problems begin. Is we do not lean upon the word of Yahweh. Can you look me up a scripture about leaning not on man but on flesh? I meant to put that in here and I had forgotten. I just now remembered it when I read this right here. Okay? So we must learn to lean upon the word of Yahweh. It says all his statutes are true. All his statutes, all his laws, all his word is truth. He said, my word is truth. Okay? We can lean upon the word of Yahweh. too many times we get into this mindset, and again, this is not everybody. I'm not putting everybody in the same basket. But a lot of the times people will run to to a doctor or a psychiatrist, a psychologist, not leaning upon the Word of God. They'll lean upon the arm of flesh, the arm of man, before they lean on the Word of Yahweh. And again, that's not everybody. I'm not putting everybody in the same basket. I'm saying this is true a lot of the time. Where is our problems at? Because we do not go back to the Word of Yahweh to see what it has to say about our problems. We can lean upon the Word of Yahweh for our problems. It has all our answers. Do you have that scripture?
I don't know if this is the one you were looking for, but I have Jeremiah chapter 17, verses 5 through 8.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thus saith Yahweh, Cursed be the man that trusteth in man, and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departeth from Yahweh. For he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, in a salt land and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in Yahweh, and whose hope Yahweh is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh. But her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit.
Okay, so we see here, that was the scriptures I was actually looking for. Cursed is the man, read that, it says, Cursed is the man that leadeth upon flesh, the arm of flesh. Why? Because Yahweh wants us to put our total 100% trust in Him and His Word. Yahweh didn't just put the Word in together just to read it so He has a story to read. We'd have a bunch of stories to read. No. Yahweh put the Word together. He put promises in His Word over and over again, lots of them, so we could put our trust in Him. Blessed is the man who trusteth Yahweh. If we trust Yahweh, how can we trust Yahweh? Trust His Word. Trust in Him that Yahweh is going to see us through. You see, how many times in Scriptures did we see where someone was in a battle that it looked like they were not going to win? David, for example. Quite a few times. David. Of course, we have David and Goliath. A man who was probably 8-9 feet tall. And David was probably, I'm not sure exactly, of course, but he might have been my size or a little bit bigger than me. Okay? Can you imagine? Can you imagine him going up against this big giant? But he put his trust in Yahweh. He didn't even take the armor that was given him. He took 5 smooth stones out of that brook. But you know what, though? You notice something. It's 5 smooth stones, but it only took 1 to kill that giant. Because there was a lot of faith in Yahweh and His Word from David that killed that giant. The rock, it says the rock went into his forehead. Now that must have been super miraculous. That must have been something super spiritual that only Yahweh could have done. And why? Because David put his trust in Yahweh. He put his trust in Yahweh's Word. He knew what Yahweh said. Yes.
That story, well, not story, those scriptures is in 1 Samuel chapter 17.
Oh, okay. Okay. 1 Samuel 17 is where those scriptures are found. Thank you. Okay. So we see that over and over again. That's why we have Samekh. We have Samekh. We have the word of Yahweh to lean upon. We have Yahweh to lean upon. Yahweh's word. We have to go, if we have a problem, you know, we could go to the Yahweh's word and find a scripture for it. You can go into some kind of Bible place and you can get a book with the categories for each, like depression and so on, and suicide and murder and everything. Everything. And it'll give you scriptures. It won't give you with man's word. It'll give you Yahweh's word as to what Yahweh says about that. Why? Because Yahweh is our Samekh. He is what we need to lean upon. Okay? Now, how many people feel like you keep falling down? I mean, how many people out there do that? You feel like you keep falling. You can't keep up on your feet. You know, you're in the winter time, not down here, of course, but up in the north, where you have snow and you have the ice, and you're walking along, and you know you're walking along, and you can't keep your feet because of the icy paths. I used to have to deal with that all the time, icy sidewalks and stuff. But you had trouble keeping your feet. And how many people keep falling down? They feel like they keep falling down. Why? You literally feel like the commercial. Help! I've fallen and I can't get up. Where do we need to call for our help from? We need to call for our help from Yahweh's word first. Yahweh. And a righteous figure, a righteous guide that is going to lead us not in what man says, but in what Yahweh's word says. Maybe it's because you're leaning on someone else's authority. You're listening to someone else instead of the word. What a person says must line up with the word of Yahweh. You see, my wife read that scripture earlier. Cursed is the man that leaneth upon flesh. Blessed is the man that leaneth upon Yahweh. Okay? Sometimes we lean too much on someone else. Be it a righteous leader or someone who is in the world, like I was saying earlier, doctors and psychologists and psychiatrists. Now, all these things are not bad. Yahweh's created them. And I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is we lean upon these things, and we do not lean upon Yahweh and His Word. We lean upon what someone else says. We run to our friend, our neighbor, our family member to get their advice on something before we read what Yahweh's Word says. What they say, if they're speaking what they need to, it should line up with what Yahweh's Word says. It should always line up with what Yahweh's Word says. Too many times, believers will go to or lean on Samekh, a relative, a friend, a spouse, a co-worker, and they don't lean upon the word of Yahweh. Too many times. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 7.
Trust in Yahweh with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes, fear Yahweh, and depart from evil.
Wow, look at that. What's this say here? Trust in Yahweh with all thine heart. Lean not to thine own understanding. All thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thine own eyes. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. What's this saying? This says we need to lean upon Yahweh. We need to see what thus saith Yahweh about a situation. Should we buy a car? Should we buy this house? Should we, move to this state or to this country? We need to seek Yahweh first. Too many times we leap before we look. We leap before we look. And we can always get in trouble. What do I mean by leap before we look? We leap into situations and leap into doing something before we look. Look at what? Look at what Yahweh's word says. Look at what Yahweh's Spirit is telling us. It's good if we seek Yahweh first. It's good that if, we seek Yahweh first. And my wife and I are going to be moving, and we've seeked Yahweh first about this. My wife and I both prayed about it. But you don't want to jump into something before we seek Yahweh and His Word. He here said, and lean not to thine own understanding. So many times this gets us in trouble. We lean under our own understanding, what we think it says, or what we think we should do. And it'll get us in trouble every time, because it might not line up with Yahweh's Word. Be not wise in thine own eyes. You see, we can be wise in our own eyes. We could think, oh, well, what I'm seeing is right. What I think I should do, it's right. But did we seek Yahweh's face first on the situation? Did we seek Yahweh's face? Fear Yahweh. What does that word fear there? It means to respect or reverence. It doesn't mean to be scared of, like a lot of people say. It means to fear, to respect or to reverence Yahweh. Depart from evil. We're going to look at some Hebrew words here. Samekh is used in the Hebrew words for refuge or trust. The Hebrew word for refuge or trust is chasah. The word picture tells us that refuge comes from the fence of support. Nahum chapter 1 verse 7.
Yahweh's good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows them that trust in him.
He knows them that trust in him. Okay, it's also in the word grandfather. The word for grandfather is sav. The word picture tells us that grandfather is a grandfather supports the house or the family. Okay, now also the word grandmother also begins with Samekh. That word is savtah. I had it in my mind, but I couldn't get it out of my mouth. Savtah. Okay, I didn't put that in here. I could have and should have, but I did not put that in here. But so grandfather and grandmother are used supporters of the family. How many times did the grandparents spoil their grandchildren? Okay, so grandfather is the supporter of the house or the family. Sullen or moody. The word that means moody or peevish is sar. The word picture tells us that a moody person is a propped up person, taking away what they want and they are upset. 1 Kings chapter 21 verse 4.
And Ahab came into his house heavy and displeased, because of the word which Naboth the Jezreelite had spoken to him. For he had said, I will not give thee the inheritance of my fathers. And he laid him down upon his bed and turned away his face and would eat no bread.
Wow. Okay, so
he was moody.
He was moody, yes. Now look at the picture here. If you can see it real good, you see two children here. Now I'm not picking on children, don't get me wrong. But look at them children. Don't they look moody? They look real moody. A child, they get moody when they don't get what they want. And that word here is sar in the Hebrew. Okay, a book or a scroll. The word for book is sefer. This word picture tells us that a book will support the mouth of a man or woman. A book helps you to speak to other people. Genesis chapter 5, verse 1.
This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him.
Okay, so we see here, this is the book of the generations of Adam. Okay, we've seen in the previous that 13 generations and so on and so forth with Adam and so on, all the way down to David. But the word book, okay, look at that. A book will support the mouth of a man or a woman. What book supports the mouth of a man or woman more than Yahweh's word? The letter Samekh is related to the word Samekh, Samach, which means to support, to sustain, or to uphold. This is the first word in Psalms 119, verse 116.
Uphold me according unto thy word, that I may live, and let me not be ashamed of my hope.
So we see Samekh is the first word in the Psalms 119 in this verse. Okay, Samekh is seen in many Hebrew words or phrases. Safe and sound. Samukh. Okay? Okay, trust me or rely on me as Samukh. Okay, a reference to something you can rely on. Ashmashka. Authority. Shamchut. Testing my Hebrew pronunciation here. Shamchut means authority. So we see trust, rely on. We see the word authority is also words with the letter Samekh in it. Let's do some more Samekh words. Samekh. Samekh means to support or to uphold. Samekh is I believe that's the root word. Sa'adah means to uphold or sustain. Sebal means to carry or to bear. Sefer means book. Sofer means scribe. Look at that. Look at all the correlation of all them scriptures there. To support or uphold, to sustain, to carry or to bear. Book or a scribe. All those words are interrelated with the letter Samekh. If we don't rely on lean on the only thing worth leaning on, which is Yahweh's word, we will fall. This is what we've been doing for the last 1700 years, is leaning on the traditions and the doctrines of men. Too many times we lean on the traditions and the doctrines of men. We believe what our pastor teaches us. We believe what a person tells us. We lean upon what our parents will tell us. We lean upon what our friend will tell us. We lean too much upon the arm of flesh. That's why it says here, we will fall. We have to lean upon the word of Yahweh. We have to. Because we're going to fall. Yahweh has made the word, his word, the Samekh that we need. The Samekh, the word, the leaning that we need. His word is the leaning that we can do. We can lean on his word all the time. You ever have your arm on the edge of a table like I have right here, or your elbow, and you all of a sudden your arm slips off, or your elbow slips off? You know, it's the same thing with us. It's the same thing that we put our elbow on the desk or wherever it's at. Is us leaning on man or on flesh or on someone or something other than Yahweh's word. And if we're not careful, we'll slip off. And that's the same thing. It'll happen. Yahweh has purposely made it so we need to lean on Him. Where would the word of Yahweh be if it didn't have examples of people, men and women, that leaned upon the word of Yahweh? Like I said earlier, the scriptures are full of both Old and New Testament, of people, men and women, who leaned upon the word of Yahweh and His word. And matter of fact, in the Old Testament it says they were talking about, I believe they were talking to Moses, and they said, "You speak for Yahweh, and what you say, we'll hear, we'll do. Whatever Yahweh tells you to tell us, we'll do." And that's the way it needs to be. They weren't trusting in They weren't trusting in that person. They were trusting in the word of Yahweh that was coming through that person. We have to make sure, like I said earlier, that it lines up with what Yahweh says. In conclusion here, the Hebrew letter Samekh can be seen in the ancient shape of the letter, the scripture used, and the Hebrew and related languages, to show us the word, the picture, and the meaning described, a prop or support. There are, for all of us, props that we need to lean on, and props that we need to use to support important things in our lives. These become the things that we trust on or rely on. We need to choose your props carefully. I can't stress that enough, is that we need to choose our props carefully. We have to make sure our props are what Yahweh wants. Second Kings 18, verse 21.
Now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, on which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt unto all that trust on him.
Now I said earlier we were going to come back to the scripture because I was going to show you something else in the scripture that I want to get into, not at that time, but now. We read the first part of this about trusting upon the staff of the bruised reed, and we understand that is speaking of Pharaoh, king of Egypt there. But look, if you read on here, it says, which if a man leans upon that reed, it'll go into his hand, speaking of the reed, and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, unto all that trust in him. You see, it's pointing out here that if we trust in something other than Yahweh, it could pierce us. It could destroy us. It could lead us down a path that we don't want to go down. We need to make sure that if we're going to lean upon something, it's upon His Word. I wanted to make sure I came back to that. The danger is that there are many false props that promise we can rely on them, only to fail. How many times? I know I keep saying that, how many times? In our life, did we think we could lean upon someone, a family member or a friend, and all of a sudden we find out we can't lean upon them? Or we leaned upon them and they misdirected us. Okay, so we need to be careful of the props that we lean on. Too many times we put our trust and our faith in man, and a friend, and a family member, and a husband or wife, or a co-worker, a boss, or something like that. Too many times we do that. And what happens? They fail us. Because we are flesh and blood. We are flesh and blood. We are just flesh. We're going to fail you. I'm not saying somebody might purposely do that, but I'm saying they might unintentionally do that. But there is one that we can always trust on that will never fail us, and that's Yahweh and His Word. All the time. Every time. Again, choose your props carefully. We're going to close. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 2 Chronicles 32, verse 8.
With him is an arm of flesh, but with us is Yahweh our Elohim to help us and to fight our battles. And the people rested themselves upon the words of Hezekiah, king of Judah. Okay,
I understand we read this earlier, but I want to come back to it again because I want to stress, with him is an arm of flesh, but with us is Yahweh our Elohim to help us and to fight our battles. You see here, I can't stress enough in the scripture that it says to lean upon Yahweh, not the arm of flesh, because flesh will fail you. Yahweh, wisdom, truth, real friends, and more can be the real props that make life work when our strengths fail. Yahweh is the support that we need. We can rest ourselves upon, and our loved ones upon. So Yahweh is the support we can put ourselves and our loved ones on. Not on man. But our support should be in Yahweh. I want to close tonight, the message for tonight, with the priestly blessing. And it's in Numbers chapter 6, verses 23 through 26.
Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Shalom.
May Yahweh richly bless you.
Yahweh's Learning Channel thanks you for watching this video. We hope you were edified by this content. Reach out to us with the information provided on screen, or you may click on the links to view more of our videos. Please subscribe to be notified of new uploads. Until next time, Shalom.